And for those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Jack Kruse. I'm a neurosurgeon. I'm in private practice. Probably my, I guess that's what I would consider my day job. My passion is I'm a quantum biologist. And this change happened to me about 12 years ago. And last year when I came to this event, my topic was photosynthesis and food. And basically to tell you that everything you believe about food is a falsehood because it's all tied to photosynthesis, and if you don't know anything about light, you don't know anything about food. And this talk is the flip side of that talk. In other words, there's a coupled pathway, and I got kind of famous on the internet for making something called the leptin prescription. So what I decided to do is give you a story about actually how I figured this out piece by piece, okay? Before I start, I want to say thank you to Dave. He invited me last year. I was kind of shocked that he invited me to a food-forward group, especially with my perspective, because my perspective is decidedly not food. It's decidedly towards light. I mean, food has its place, and you'll probably hear me talk a little bit about that. But I want to tell you that gratitude is important for this reason. And I think when I get done, you'll understand why. Because it raises our dopamine level. And you heard me say something last night in Unbound, which brings me to this group of characters, or misfits as I like to call them. The answers are right in front of us, folks. And you heard me say it in the movie, but you may not know why I said it. Because even though the answers are right in front of us, if your dopamine level is low, you will not perceive the truth right in front of your face, okay? And one of the cool things that you're gonna learn in the talk is that the best and fastest way to raise your dopamine level is through AM sunlight. And I'm gonna show you how. But I don't want you to think that that's not all of them. These guys up here, you know Ben, this is Jeremy. For those of you who don't know him, Ben made a movie about him. This picture was taken in New Orleans, and the four guys on this slide are gonna do something really important in this life. Some people think we've already done it. My opinion is we're only scratching the surface. There's a lot more to come. When you get us four together in the French Quarter, we raise our dopamine levels in a big way, in many different ways. And the point is that friends, family is incredibly important. Somebody asked a question to Ruben a little earlier about, do you trim your friends? Ruben wasn't being honest with you at all. Ruben got off social media last year for a variety of different reasons, but one of the main reasons is social media is a place where a lot of energy vampires they hang out and they look to take you down. I have a famous Instagram quote. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, you may like some of them, but there's 7.5 billion people on the planet and I only like 6 of them, and I always rotate them through. So I'm looking to steal electrons from people all the time, and it's uncanny to me that no matter where I go, I always meet people who are new, and I get to entangle with them, and they don't really know what I'm doing until they actually hear me talk about the stuff I talk about. This is one of those cats. His name's Devin. He's here. You've probably seen him. His mom's here. I just met his mom for the first time. I met Devin at a biohacking event in 2014, and to be quite honest with you, one of my biases, I thought millennials were low dopamine generation. And he was the first one that changed my opinion. I did a talk there that was very controversial. And let's put it this way, I had a 12.5-hour Q&A that didn't end until 3:30 in the morning across the street, and Devin stayed for the whole thing. And since then, he's been a member of my site because he understood that the key wasn't buying boxes and supplements and worrying about different types of foods when you were getting the key fixture wrong, which was light. And you can see, he bought all the books and he started to learn. Last guy is the latest millennial, and he's 17 years old. He's here. You probably saw him with his long blonde hair. That's Matt. And Matt came to my members event. Matt's not a member because he's broke. He has no money. So he wrote a blog called Quantum Thievery, and he met my wife, he met all my members. He broke into this 5-star resort and basically spent almost 2 weeks with us. He did it with his buddy Brian, who's sitting right here in the front. Matt's right there. And the key thing is, because he took a risk, he didn't know if he was gonna meet me, Turns out I went down there 2 days early with my wife, sat on the beach, these two clowns showed up, and guess what we did? For 2 days, they got an educational consult for 48 hours. And then they spent the time with us. And what happened? Dopamine levels were risen. And it happened on the beach. And it's really important for you to hear. Now this guy is Alexander Wunsch. And many of you may not know this, but Dave and Tree tried to get Alexander here to speak. I asked him to get him, but it was logistically and financially not feasible. You heard him in the movie. He's German. My name used to be Kruse before World War I, so he's my brother from another mother. So I've decided to use a lot of his slides and also some of his ideas to show you exactly what you need to know about light. And it's probably the most important thing. And this is for you guys. There's somebody in this audience, I don't know who it is. Every time I come give a talk, I always meet one person, and I usually tell that person, I know the reason why I had to come here, it was to meet you. So far, I haven't met that person yet, so we'll see how it goes. Bottom line, I'm grateful to be here, but also to share the ideas with you, because these changed my life in a big way. Everything I'm about to tell you is in these books. If you're going to take one picture, take a picture of all these books. There's more, but this is where a mitochondriac starts, okay? And you heard when Ruben started the movie about Unbound, he showed that picture and told you what Unbound means. Innovation is about taking things that are known and connecting them in ways that nobody's ever thought about before. My entire talk, I'm going to tell you right now in about 15 or 20 seconds exactly what I'm going to tell you. All you need to know is that slide right there. Okay? I could technically end the talk with this. What does that equation mean to everybody? And you just answer it yourself, but I'm going to tell you what it means to me today. Energy and mass are exactly the same thing. The only thing that's different is the environment that each side of the equation is in. Okay? So what does this mean? This means that when you slow light down, you create things of mass. That means everything in this room, this farm, this planet, at one time used to be light. And that is very counterintuitive to some people. They don't believe that's true. That was Einstein's innovation. And the problem is in medicine, biology, research, science, PhD, nutrition people, they don't get it. And last year, I came here and told you that's what the basis of the food web is. It's light through photosynthesis. So if you don't know about light, you don't know about food. And that's a really controversial thing to say to people who are big into food. I don't care. I really don't, because it's true. Now I'm going to show you how we work, the other side of the equation. The key innovation occurred 650 million years ago in photosynthesis. That's when we stole a bacteria and turned it into a chloroplast and we made food. What did the plants do? They made oxygen as a byproduct, and they also put DHA in the seas, okay? We know that life started in the seas. What happened 600 million years ago is important to everybody in the room. That's where all complex life came from, through the Cambrian explosion. But what was the key innovation? It's right there on the bottom. A mitochondria brought the C inside the cell. And why is that important? Because we had to bring water inside to make life work. So if you want a key slide, take a picture of this one. Because last year's talk focused on that, and this year's talk focuses right on this. And basically what you have is a coupled system. And what people don't realize, that system is reversed here. And here's the key thing that you need to understand. Ruben talked a little bit about DC electricity. What people don't realize is when a caterpillar eats a leaf at Shelburne Farms, it stimulates a DC current of injury that Becker talks about in his book. The researcher that did that was Alan Burr at Yale University, 1929. You should know that. Guess what? When I cut people in surgery, every time I cut them, What stimulates the healing repair? It generates a DC electric current, and it tends to work, as Ruben said, with red blood cells in a very elaborate way that Becker laid out in his books. If you don't know that, you need to, and I'm going to show you why you need to.